Hey friends, Dory here for Gamereactor. I am in Paris at a focus event looking at upcoming games, and I've found Insurgency Sandstorm. Now, I've played quite a bit of Insurgency on the PC, so I'm looking forward to this, but for those that don't know what Insurgency is all about, the whole philosophy of the game, what is it?
Well, Insurgency is considered a hardcore shooter. We've been
quite
a hardcore shooter. Where you see hardcore gameplay in a lot of AAA shooters, that's kind of buried within their main gameplay, but that's our focus. So we've been around for quite a long time. This year is 10 years since Insurgency mod first released as a Half-Life 2 mod. Since then, we developed Insurgency into a standalone game as an indie title that launched in 2014, and since then we've sold over 3 million copies. So now we're building a full sequel with Insurgency Sandstorm, and we want to bring that same hardcore gameplay experience to the consoles as well as back on Steam.
Now, of course, as with, is it a sequel or is it like a beefed up remaster of sorts?
It's definitely a sequel. We want to continue that gameplay design that we've established with Insurgency, that popular multiplayer cooperative gameplay, but we're also adding on to it story mode, which is kind of new territory for us, but we're really excited to get into a story.
Now, let's first talk about some of the technical features and beef-ups that you bring to Sandstorm.
Well, we're utilizing the Unreal Engine 4. So it's kind of a night and day development process as opposed to working with Source as we have in the past. So we're able to kind of enlarge the environments drastically, as you can see in the screenshot behind us. We're introducing vehicle support. We're going to have split screen co-op for our story mode. And yeah, we're just going to utilize the full force of Unreal Engine 4.
And you're also using V-Wise for audio, right?
Correct, yeah, we're using Wise. Our audio is renowned for the intensity. Unfortunately, it's triggered some PTSD flashbacks in combat veterans because of the audio, but with Wise, it's actually going to amplify that intensity.
Now, let's dive right into the story. Sure. Exciting.
Yeah, we're actually very excited to venture into storytelling. So our story is essentially about a female protagonist. She, as a young girl, was enslaved in an Iraqi town along with her sister and some of her friends. Fortunately, one evening or day, we don't know yet, a sandstorm blows in and over the village, combat erupts and a hole is blown in the wall. They have a chance to escape, and our protagonist kind of finds herself separated from the group alone. And you fast forward to present day, and she's enlisted in the Kurdish rebel forces as a female fighter, along with her best friend. She discovers some information that kind of sends her on a personal quest to branch away from the main group. And accompanying her along the way are two foreign vigilantes. One is an American combat veteran of the war, and the second is a French citizen with zero combat experience whatsoever. So this group of four kind of set off on a road trip across the desolate landscape, encountering different challenges with Western Special Forces encounters and Iraqi civilians. So it's going to be quite the interesting experience.
And you're going to play as her the entire time, or you're going to be switching between playable characters?
Well, if you're playing single player, you will remain as the primary female protagonist. With 4-player cooperative support, you and your friends take one of those 4 characters.
So when you're playing the story mode on your own and you have the 3 companions, will you be controlling them with commands, or will they act on their own?
Well, in Insurgency, we have a radial command menu. So in the current game, you can actually order around bots. You can call for backup and they'll come running to you, or you can say to stick together and they'll tighten up, or spread out and they'll spread out. You can point in any direction, say there's enemy over there, and they'll turn and look and adjust accordingly. So when you are playing single player, that's the design we're going to implement.
And you were also talking about like split screen as well. Are you going to be bringing that to multiplayer, or what's the plan?
Well, we're looking into doing multiplayer for split screen. No promises yet until we actually get down that road and see if it's feasible.
And how many, do you have any idea of how many continuous players you'll have on servers? Because you're talking bigger environments. Does that mean more players?
Well, the scale of Insurgency as it is now is 32 players maximum in multiplayer. For cooperative, we have 8-player co-op. So we're going to maintain those player counts. We want to maintain the same kind of close quarter combat infantry focus of the scale. So even though we're introducing vehicles, they're going to have kind of a lighter transportation and support role. There's no tanks and no helicopters. So we want to maintain that kind of same sense of scale because we know it works.
Yeah, you were talking about helicopters as calling in strikes and stuff. Are you going to be able to drive the vehicles yourself, or is it only as a call-in for support?
In that particular case, that's kind of calling in for support. We have a new game in the works called Day of Infamy, and we have a new system that we can call in radio support for aircraft and artillery and that sort of thing. So we want to kind of carry that design into Insurgency Sandstorm, where you can call in drone strikes, you can call in ammo drops or smoke screens, that kind of thing.
Okay. And not only is it a new game, new engine, but it also you're bringing it out on more platforms than just PC.
That's right. We have been very excited to bring it to consoles. I feel like there's a gap in the market for hardcore gameplay with Focus on that hardcore. Focus, our publisher, also agrees with that, and they really see the opportunity to bring Insurgency to the consoles too.
Yeah, I have to say, like, thinking about hardcore shooters is like, for me, I think, that's PC. But how has it been mapping that to a controller and keeping the same, hardcore experience?
Well, we're certainly trying to maintain that kind of, intuitive controller support. So there might be, like a little bit of aim assist, that kind of thing, because that's the nature of the hardware. But we're definitely going to maintain, that hardcore gameplay on PC. It's more, I think, a matter of the game design and the approach, how you play it. So I think not a whole lot of console fans may be, expecting that, but I think they can adapt.
Now, what about in terms of launch window? When is it coming out on the different platforms?
Well, we're looking at doing a closed alpha on the PC by the end of this year, and then releasing on all platforms next year.
When you say closed alpha, are you talking early access as you did with the previous game, or?
In the terms early access, that basically that we're not going to label it as an early access necessarily. It will be different. We're also looking at incentivizing having access to that closed alpha for existing Insurgency owners. So the exact details of those remain to be seen, but that's kind of where we're looking right now.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.